They've progressed. It's more like, okay, I don't know how to read and write, but I'm 50 years old. What are you going to teach me? How to learn reading and writing? You're going to take me to grade 1? Well, that kind of a subject is the kind of insulting to my mind. You would teach me again how to read and write, but I'm 50 years old. You have to be compatible in this topic and subject so it doesn't become boring, it doesn't become stupid. Okay? You won't give me the book of children's. So that is the situation, therefore, that when today man grows up and understands what evolution is, for example, by the postulation of Darwin and science, then they can't accept that the world is built in 6 days. It sounds very stupid. It just is not compatible. So what we have to do is that we have to create, at this point, a theory, something that's compatible to this level of progress of mankind in this century. So there has been this kind of notions in Europe that there were people that try to create religions, even they call the name of the weeks, even they call the day, the name Shakespeare's, the other day Kant, the other day something else. They're all man-made ideas. It didn't work. Let's see what really is that we're looking for. What is the use of these answers and religions in that sense? I understand and understood by reading Baha'i faith, which is my religion, that Baha'ullah tells us, the founder of the Baha'i faith, that there are 2 wombs. One is this womb that we grow our physical body in it, where we develop hands and eyes and ears, which is not useful in the womb. But when we come out, we see all of these things are useful. So the physical faculty of man is begin inside the body of his mother. If the mother is not careful or something is wrong, the boy grows up handicapped when he's born. Maybe not have eye, maybe he's blind, maybe he's dumb, maybe his leg doesn't work, maybe he have some kind of a syndrome. Now the second womb is a social womb. In this womb, the child comes in for 15 years minimum, otherwise even 20, 21 years in the Eastern countries. This child has to be cared by a mother and by a father, constantly. Because there has to be an absolute love towards this child. Instinctively there is. There has to be a program. There has to be a trust between mother and father. Love is there, but a trust has to be there. Always love may not be there. So, if we need family as a womb where humanity and characters of human being can get evolved and nurtured before it sends to the society, otherwise it becomes a handicapped person, and then it acts like this Norwegian boy because those answers when he was 15 and 14 was not given to him. Mom and dad had no idea what spirituality is. They might have shown a lot of love even, but where is the sources of this protocol and criterias that the family is based? You think, okay, this cannot be enacted by the lawyers to say, okay, mom and dad, man and woman, they have to love each other. People won't listen to that. Philosophers philosophizing. Many people such as Plato, Aristotle, they've been before Christ and Moses and whatnot. Nobody listens to them either. We have no temple in the name of Plato anywhere. Going back to the scientists, today they come and say, well, we need this. We have to do this. It's some kind of our need. Simply because it's our need, that doesn't mean so we're able to do it. So the rule of the family, which is very essential in constructions and development of the characters of a human being, can be only done by the so-called prophets of God. which we know them as Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Krishna, Zoroaster, and a few others. So far, these are what is known. The followers of these religions, they have, in the course of time, created a very good family system where children were kept and nurtured. And there was a relationship between them. In the course of time, as the system of family and the society has changed, this womb, this social womb, is changed right now. For example, man and women are equal. Mother and father, we enacted as a law in society, are equal. This equality of man and woman is not compatible to any religions, Islam or Christianity. Women have to follow men. So you cannot use this in the family to develop children. Even if they do, they are not compatible to the society because they become Amish people. They have to be secluded in their own society of somewhere else. We have to be reactionists to go back and say, okay, we'll stop the progress of the science and logics and economy and everything else, and we live like Amish people. You could use Christianity, no problem, everything is balanced. But the problem is that we can't do that. We can't convince all the people to become Amish. Most people say no. Therefore, we do not have a social womb. And the prophets of the past also, they cannot come down here. Nowadays, right now, one of the biggest problem that is starting a primordial soup of another conflict in Europe, another Holocaust, is that the growth of the Muslim communities in Europe. European, again, they're finding an answer, they're just attacking Muslims. No one has answered to the people that when a person have hatred towards a person, it may not be the person, he just happened to be in between. Irish and English, they want to fight, but since there's a Muslim in between, they punch him. He's becoming a, person in between to point towards to. We have to stop this. If you don't like Muslims and other cultures, don't bring them in your countries. You do not have a system to make them to become compatible to you. How ridiculous is of the country like a Holland, with such a democratic mind and the freedom, they enact this kind of laws against Muslims that they should wear this and wear that. So, basically, dealing with the new cultures, they cannot digest it, and they're getting sick themselves, and they're going off the way that they've developed themselves, the democracy that they developed. This means these people do not have the tolerance, to have the means, mechanism. They do not have the power to digest and communicate with a different culture. They should not then bring them in. Because certainly racism is really seriously a sickness that will lead to other things and might create another Holocaust. So, back to the topic, what do we do? I found that in the course of evolution, even if you don't believe in God, that a movement took place in the earth alongside of this Marxism and other philosophies that were coming around 1844, around 1800, and other movement. There was one other movement you may not know. It's called Baha'i faith, B-A-H-A''I. Baha'i faith means the faith of glory. A person that we Baha'i, we know him as manifestation of God, Baha'ullah, meaning glory of God, appeared around 1844, first through his forerunner, the Bab, which was immediately arrested and killed by the Iranians with 750 bullets in his chest. Comes after that, Baha'ullah, and brought a new system of thinking and spirituality. And when we look at it, we see that the new culture that is developed after the Industrial Revolution, that gives us this new ideology about the life, about the social justice, about democracy, about the equality of the genders and races and all that in the law and economical value, is absolutely compatible with his thought. Baha'i faith right now is very well spread in Europe, in every country, if you go and you Google it out, you'll find out there's a national center in every country in Europe, but there is a national center in every city. There's a local center in every city in Europe that you could go and obtain this material on the Baha'i faith. What is Baha'i faith in a glance? Baha'i faith is a revelation of God in the same parallel line as the Christianity and Islam as others. In lump sum, if I had to tell you, let's say Adam came to tell us what's good and bad, and Noah tells us there's a metaphysical source, and Abraham united these sources into one, so there's one God. Moses brought laws from God, and Jesus introduced love of God to us, and Muhammad said knowledge and logic from God. Muslim, they wrote so many books, and today Baha'ullah has come and said all these continental religions, they have to come down into a universal religion called Baha'i faith. So he has given us teaching. For example, first of all, he introduced democracy. That was not heard, still is not heard in Iran. He actually introduced democracy and practiced it in Iran among the followers. Baha'is do not have a priest, a person, an individual, self-proclaimed to order them to wear a uniform like a clown and cover himself and call himself a spiritual. Baha'is, they say, Baha'ullah says mankind has reached to the point that they can elect their own spiritual body of themselves, not 9 people, every year also renewed. That is called local spiritual assembly in every city in Europe. Right now exists. You want to divorce, you go there. You want to marry, you get there. At the national level, there is another one, again elected by people, democratically, and at the World Center, which is right now in Israel, every 4 years, they have another one, National Universal House of Justice, which acts like Pope, but everything's democratic. Can you believe it? Democracy and religion introduced by Baha'u'llah from Iran, which is stupid to say he's Iranian, because Iranian always hated him. They hate him right now, but Baha'is have been killed, so many thousands of them, 20,000 in the beginning of the initiation of the Baha'i, and today they're all getting arrested in Iran and getting killed. That Baha'u'llah came from Iran is not an Iranian movement, absolutely not. It's very, very important to understand this. We should not have prejudice. So, then of course he says that, again, one of the problems in the religions of the past, the second bigger problem, was this gender equality. Baha'u'llah actually says man and women are like a bird with 2 wings. Both sides has the wing. If they don't, it cannot fly. Bird cannot fly, it doesn't have the 2 wings. One wing is closed, bird falls. This is a drawback of the Muslim countries. They could not progress because they didn't understand this. They couldn't get away from their religion. But Baha'u'llah introduced that to us. He says the source, another big, huge problem of the past is this prejudice and this superstition that's just mixed so much with the religion that these ideas are becoming totally chaotic. Baha'u'llah has created a guard for this. He says religion has to be according to science and logic. Abdul Baha says that religion goes outside of the logic and science. It's a mere imaginations. Therefore, Baha'is do not believe in anything unless it can be explained. An explanation has to be universally acceptable. There are many elements, at least 12 principles, where he brings up and he tells us, like have an auxiliary language in the world, which right now most people speak English, by the way. He says there should be a universal government. You had local government, you had national government, you have state government, provincial. All of this, the state was beneficials. Why not to have a universal government? Under which we stop this wastage of all this army and armament. US alone is $350 billion, the budget. Imagine if the world had one universal government, the world could be disarmed and all this energy would go to the real fight, which is the nature. The desert growing every day in Africa, where at any time could be hit by a virus thousands times worse than AIDS, but we have no preparations because we keep creating these armies. Why? Because there's no government. In England, in Canada, in the United States, imagine if every state of the United States had to have its own government, the country would have been bankrupt. But there's one